It was 20 years ago today that a collision involving a barge caused large sections of the Queen Isabella Causeway to fall into the bay. Several cars along with it. Many here in the valley, it is a night that will never be forgotten.
For those of us who were there, including myself, it's a day that even 2 decades later is crystal clear. Channel 5's Ismar Ventura spoke with some of the first responders and tells us what's been done since then to prevent another tragedy.
For many, September 15, 2001 will never be forgotten.
And the call to my cell phone was they just bombed the causeway. And that's the initial call we got.
And although it was not a bomb, the damages caused were apparent. Upon arriving on scene, first responders saw that part of the Queen Isabella Bridge had collapsed. A barge had crashed against 2 of the pillars shortly after 1 in the morning, causing 2 sections of the road to fall into the Laguna Madre.
First thing you think is your instincts are to help the people, to help those that are in need. And you just react. It's a lot of my officers were in those pillars trying to pull people out of the water without even realizing the danger. You know, it's very deep there.
It is right here where 20 years ago, a barge collided with the pillars of the Queen Isabella Causeway, causing part of the bridge to collapse and several vehicles to plummet into the water. 4 fishermen were nearby that night, one of them, Robert Espericueta.
When we looked towards the causeway, we noticed that there was like a haze and there was this one specific spot that you couldn't even see under it anymore. It looked like it was raining, and right then that's when the first car came off of the bridge.
Immediately and without thinking, they began to search for survivors in the dark.
Sure enough, we heard the first survivor, and we made our way over to her and pulled her up onto the boat. After that, there were 2 other individuals that we were fortunate enough to be around to rescue that night.
That night, there was no rest. Numerous law and fire agencies responded, among them the United States Coast Guard.
We launched our small boats and aircraft to help look for survivors that had fallen from this event. There's a lot of unknown factors, you know, what caused it, how many people need assistance. So there's a lot of figuring out kind of what's happening, and you don't know that a lot of times until you get on scene. So it's a lot of on-scene decision making and trying to figure out the best way we can assist.
Unfortunately, only 3 people survived despite all the efforts to help. An evaluation of the damages was underway in the morning. Despite the strong current, a special dive team began searching for the still submerged vehicles, and shortly after, a 3rd section of the bridge collapsed. The repairs for the damaged section of the causeway lasted 2 months, according to the Texas Department of Transportation. Additional safety features were incorporated, including a new warning system for drivers.
Solidify or actually create a buffer around the columns so that if it were to happen again, let's say another barge were to hit the bridge, it would hit these bumpers first before hitting the columns. That way that hits, the primary force would actually be minimal. Establish a fiber optic emergency system, alert system that runs right across the bridge. So if anytime there's a break, and it doesn't have to be a collapse, or there's have to be a breakage within the fiber optic, there's a certain movement that's beyond the normal, or it's an anomaly. We all get alerted. The digital signage starts to alert drivers of what's happening.
As we made our way on the boat, we were able to see the color that marks the section of the bridge that collapsed, which is maintained periodically according to TxDOT.
We look at everything. We look at the pavement. We look at the columns, at the spans, at the lights, of course, always checking the fiber optic emergency system.
For those who navigate these waters, safety is essential.
You know, you want to have a plan. You know, you also want to know the area. You want to either have a GPS on board, you want to have a map on your boat.
After reconstruction, the Queen Isabella Causeway reopened on November 21, 2001. Today, the Isabella Memorial Causeway Bridge, as it was later renamed in honor of the victims, is safer and has greater surveillance to prevent any kind of tragedy. In Port Isabel, Ismar Ventura, Channel 5 News.
We're posting all our coverage online so you can look back at the story that just aired and others to hear from the survivors and rescuers.
Also on our website, how the Valley came together today to honor those lost. Just visit krgv.com.